The book of First Samuel, chapter 1, verse 1, 1 Samuel 1 and 1, 1 Samuel, the first chapter and the first verse. Elkanah and his family go to Shiloh. There was a man whose name was Elkanah. He lived in a town called Ramah. This town was in the hill country where Ephraim's tribe lived. Elkanah was the son of Jehoram. Jehoram was the son of Elihu. Elihu was the son of Tohu. Tohu was the son of Zuph. Zuph belongs to the tribe of Ephraim. Elkanah had two wives. One wife was called Hannah, and the other wife was called Peninnah. Peninnah had no children, but Peninnah had children rather, but Hannah did not have any children. Every year, Elkanah left his home in Ramah to go to the town of Shiloh. He went there to worship the Lord Almighty and to offer sacrifices to him. Hophni and Phinehas served the Lord at Shiloh as his priests. Eli was their father. Every year when Elkanah offered his sacrifices to God, he gave some of the meat to his wife Peninnah and to her sons and daughters. Because Elkanah loved Hannah very much, he always gave twice as much meat to her. But the Lord did not let Hannah give birth to any children. Peninnah was not kind to Hannah, and she made Hannah very upset. She did this because the Lord had not let Hannah give birth to any children. This happened every year when they went to the Lord's house in Shiloh. Peninnah would cause Hannah to be upset. Then Hannah would weep. She'd refuse to eat anything. Hannah's husband Elkanah said to her, "Why should you weep and refuse to eat? Do not be so sad. I love you, and that is better than 10 sons." Hannah and Eli. One day they'd offered sacrifices at Shiloh. They had finished eating and drinking. Hannah stood up to pray to God. Eli the priest was sitting on his chair beside the door of the Lord's temple. Hannah was very upset as she prayed to the Lord. She could not stop weeping. She made a promise to God. She prayed, "Lord Almighty, you can see how sad I am. Please be kind to me, your servant. Remember me and do not forget me. Please give a son to me, your servant. If you do that, I'll give him to serve you for all of his life. Nobody will ever cut his hair." Hannah continued to pray to the Lord. Eli watched her mouth while it moved. Hannah was praying quietly inside herself. Her lips moved, but Eli could not hear her voice. So he thought she was drunk. He said to her, "Are you always drunk like that? Throw away your wine." Hannah replied, "No, sir, I've not drunk any wine or strong drink. I have much trouble deep inside myself. I've told the Lord about all my problems. Please, sir, do not think that I'm a bad woman. I'm praying like this because I'm very sad and upset." Eli said to Hannah, "Go and let your mind have peace. I pray that Israel's God will give you what you've asked him." Hannah said to him, "I'll try to do what pleases you, sir." Then Hannah went away and she ate some food. Her face was not sad now. Elkanah and his family got up early the next morning and they worshiped the Lord. Then they went back to their home in Ramah. Elkanah had sex with his wife, Hannah. I guess we really didn't need to know all of that. But the Lord remembered what she had asked him for. Too much detail. Hannah became pregnant. Later, she gave birth to a son. See, if you just tell us that, we didn't need to know all those details. She gave him the name Samuel. She said, "His name is Samuel because I asked the Lord for him." Hannah gives Samuel to serve God. Next year, Elkanah went to Shiloh to offer sacrifices to the Lord as he had promised to do. His family went with him, but Hannah did not go as well. She said to her husband, "I will not go until the boy is older. When he can eat proper food, I'll take him to Shiloh to give him to the Lord. Then he will live there for all his life." Elkanah said to Hannah, "You must do what seems right to you. Stay here at home until the boy begins to eat proper food. May the Lord help you as he has promised." So Hannah stayed at home with her son while he continued to drink milk from her breast. When Samuel started to eat proper food, Hannah took him to Shiloh. She took him to the Lord's house there when he was still a young boy. She took with her a bull that was 3 years old. She also took a big bag of flour and a leather bag full of wine. They killed the bull for the sacrifice. Then Hannah took Samuel to Eli. Hannah said to Eli, "Please believe me, sir. I'm the woman who stood here before. You saw me when I was praying to the Lord. I prayed that the Lord would give me a son, and he answered my prayer. Now give this child to serve the Lord. He will be the Lord's servant for his whole life." Then Elkanah's family worshiped the Lord there. 1 Samuel chapter 2. Hannah praises the Lord. Hannah prayed and she said, "I'm very happy when I think about what the Lord has done. The Lord has made me very strong. I can laugh at my enemies because you, Lord, have saved me. That makes me very happy. Nobody else is like the Lord. There is no other God except you, our God. You are the only rock where we can be safe. Do not boast or speak proud words. The Lord is a God who knows everything. He judges everything that people do. The weapons of brave soldiers may break, but weak people who fall become strong again. People who had plenty of food to eat have to work for it now, but the people who were hungry have enough food now. Women who could not have any children have now given birth to 7 children, but those who had many children are now alone. The Lord gives both life and death. He sends some people to their graves, and he raises other people up. The Lord makes some people poor, and he makes other people rich. He causes some people to be important, and he puts other people low down. He raises up weak people from the ground. He lifts poor people out of the dirt. He makes them become friends of princes. He puts them in places of honor. The deep places of the earth belong to the Lord. He built the world on a strong foundation. He takes care of his faithful people, but he puts wicked people in a dark place where they can do nothing. It's not a person's own strength that makes him great. The Lord will destroy his enemies. He will shout against them from heaven like loud thunder. The Lord will judge everyone on earth. He'll make his king strong, and he'll give power to the king that he has chosen to rule. Then Elkanah went back to his home at Ramah with his family, but the young boy Samuel stayed in Shiloh. He served the Lord there while Eli the priest took care of him. Eli's wicked sons. Eli's sons were wicked men. They did not respect the Lord. They did not do what the priest should do. People brought sacrifices to offer to the Lord at Shiloh. When the meat was still boiling in a pot, a servant of the priest would come. He would bring a fork that had 3 points. He then pushed the fork into the pot. The priest took for himself any meat that came on the fork. The priest did that to all the Israelites when they came to Shiloh to offer sacrifices. Their servant would even come before the fat was removed from the meat to be burned as a sacrifice. He would say to the person who had brought the sacrifice, "Give me some of the meat for the priest to bake." He will not accept meat that is already boiled. He'll only accept meat that is fresh. Sometimes the person said, "We must burn the fat first. Then you can take any meat you want, that you want." The servant would reply, "Give the meat to me now, or I'll take it from you anyway." The Lord knew that what Eli's sons were doing. They did not respect the sacrifices that people were offering to the Lord. The Lord saw that their sin was very bad. Samuel at Shiloh. But Samuel served the Lord faithfully as a young boy. He wore a linen ephod. Every year, Samuel's mother made a little coat for him. She took it to him when she went to Shiloh. She and her husband went there every year to offer their sacrifice to God. Each year, Eli blessed Elkanah and his wife. He said, "I pray that the Lord will give you more children to take the place of Samuel. Hannah has given her son to serve the Lord, so may she give birth to other children too." Then they would return to their own home. The Lord blessed Hannah. She gave birth to 3 more sons and 2 daughters. The boy Samuel continued to grow as he served at the Lord's house in Shiloh. Eli was now very old. He heard about everything that his sons were doing to all the Israelites. He knew that his sons had sex with some of the women helpers. Those women worked at the door of the tent of meeting. Eli said to his sons, "People have told me about all the evil things that you do. No, my sons, you should not do these terrible things. The Lord's people all complain about you. If you do something bad to another person, God can speak on your behalf. But if you do something bad against the Lord, nobody can speak on your behalf." Eli's sons didn't listen to their father. The Lord had already decided to kill them. Terrible. The young boy Samuel continued to grow. The Lord was pleased with him, and so were the people. God's message to Eli. A servant of God came and he spoke to Eli. This is what he said. "The Lord says, a long time ago, when your ancestors were in Egypt, I showed myself to them. At that time, they were slaves of Egypt's king. I chose your ancestor Aaron out of all the tribes of Israel. I chose him and his descendants to be my priests. I chose them to offer sacrifices on my altar, to burn incense, and to wear the special ephod. I also gave them authority to eat part of the sacrifices and burnt offerings that the Israelites offered to me. But you and your sons do not respect the sacrifices that I have commanded people to offer in my house. Eli, you give more honor to your sons than you give to me. Your family eats all the best part of the offerings that the Israelites bring to me. You have all become fat. Because of what you've done, the Lord Israel's God says this to you. I promised your family and your ancestors that they would serve me as priests forever. But now the Lord says that will never happen. I'll give honor to people who respect me, but I will curse people who insult me. So you and your family will soon come to an end. No one in your family will live to become old men. You will see how trouble comes to my home here. Good things will happen to the Israelite people, but there will never be an old man in your family. One of your descendants may continue to serve me as a priest, but he will be very sad and his eyes will become weak. Anyone who is born in your family will die when they are young. This will show that what I have said is true. Your two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, will both die on the same day. I'll choose another priest to serve me. He'll be faithful. He'll do everything that I want him to do. I'll give him a strong family, and he'll serve my chosen king forever. Everyone in your family who continues to live will have to bend down low to this priest. They will ask him for a few coins and a piece of bread. Please let me help the priest so that I can have something to eat, they will say. 1 Samuel chapter 3, God chooses Samuel. The boy Samuel continued to serve the Lord. Eli the priest taught him what to do. In those days, the Lord did not often give his message to people. He did not often show them things in visions. Eli's eyes had become weak. He could not see very well. One night he was sleeping in his usual place. The lamp of God was still burning. Samuel was lying down to sleep near the covenant box in the Lord's house. Then the Lord called out to Samuel. Now I'm lost. 1 Samuel 3. God chooses Samuel. He's working with Eli. But they're from the tribe of Ephraim. So if Samuel is from the tribe of Ephraim, how is he serving to assist a priest? Interesting. All right, 1 Samuel chapter 3, verse 4. Sorry, a little short Bible study there. Just trying to figure out how an Ephraimite can be serving where Levites are supposed to be serving. Interesting. Then the Lord called out to Samuel. Samuel answered, "Here I am." Samuel ran to Eli and he said, "You call my name. Here I am." And you all can put that in the comment section too if you can find an answer to that question. How can Samuel, who's from the tribe of Ephraim, serve in assisting in the priesthood when all the Levites were supposed to do that? Ephraim was not chosen for priesthood or for assisting the priesthood like all the Levites were. All right, but Eli said, "I did not call your name. Go back and lie down." So Samuel went and he lay down again. Again, the Lord called out, "Samuel." So Samuel went to Eli and he said, "You call my name. Here I am." Eli answered, "My son, I did not call your name. Go back and lie down again." Samuel did not know the Lord yet. The Lord had not spoken to him before. Then the Lord called to Samuel's name for the third time. Samuel got up again. He went to Eli and he said, "You call my name. Here I am." Then Eli realized it was the Lord who was calling the boy's name. So Eli said to Samuel, "Go back and lie down again. If he calls your name again, you must say, 'Speak, Lord. I'm your servant and I'm listening.'" So Samuel went back and he lay down in his place. The Lord came and he stood near to Samuel. He called Samuel's name again as he had done before. He said, "Samuel, Samuel." Samuel said, "Speak, I'm your servant and I'm listening." Then the Lord said to Samuel, "Listen to me. I'm ready to do something great among the Israelite people. When people hear about it, they'll shake with fear. When that day arrives, I will punish Eli and his family in all the ways that I've said. I will start at the beginning and I'll continue to the end. I've warned Eli that I would punish his family for all time. He knew that his sons were doing very bad things. They were insulting me, God, and Eli did not stop them. So I made a strong promise and I said, I'll never forgive the sins of Eli's family. No sacrifices or offerings will ever take away those sins." Samuel lay down again until the morning. Then he opened the doors of the Lord's house. He was afraid to tell Eli about the vision that he had received from God. But Eli called out to Samuel, "Samuel, my son." Samuel answered, "Here I am." Eli asked Samuel, "What message did the Lord speak to you? You must not hide it from me. God will certainly punish you if you do not tell me everything that he said to you." So Samuel told Eli everything. He did not hide any of God's message. Then Eli said, "The Lord must do what he thinks is right." Why is there a period there? That period shouldn't be there. The Lord must do what he thinks is right. The Lord was with Samuel while he continued to grow up. So every message that Samuel spoke became true. In all Israel, from north to the south, everyone realized that Samuel was truly the Lord's prophet. The Lord continued to appear at Shiloh. He showed himself to Samuel, and he spoke to him there. 1 Samuel chapter 4, verse 1. Samuel spoke the Lord's messages to all the Israelites. The Philistines take God's covenant box. The Israelites went out to fight against the Philistines. The Israelite army put up their tents near the place called Ebenezer. The Philistine army put up their tents at Aphek. The Philistines went to attack the Israelites. As the battle continued, the Philistines won the fight, and they killed about 4,000 Israelites. The Israelite soldiers returned to their tents. The leaders of Israel said to each other, "Why did the Lord let the Philistines win against us today? We should bring the Lord's covenant box here from Shiloh. We will take it with us into the battle. Then it will save us from our enemies." So the people sent to Shiloh, and they brought back the Lord's covenant box. That is where the Lord Almighty sits between the cherubs. Eli's two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, also came with God's covenant box. The men brought the Lord's covenant box into the place where the soldiers' tents were. When the Israelites saw it, they shouted so loudly that the ground shook. The Philistines heard the loud noise. They asked each other, "What is happening there among the Hebrews' army?" Then they realized that the Lord's covenant box had arrived there. They were afraid, and they said, "Their gods have come to help them fight. We're in bad trouble. Nothing like this has happened to us before. This is terrible. Nobody can save us from those powerful gods. Those gods punished the Egyptians with many bad diseases in the desert. Philistine soldiers, you must be brave. You must fight as strong men. If not, we'll become slaves of these Hebrew people, as they were once our slaves. So be ready to fight bravely." So the Philistines did fight strongly, and they won again. They killed 30,000 Israelite soldiers in the battle. The other Israelite soldiers all ran home. The Philistines took God's covenant box for themselves. Eli's two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, also died. Eli dies. That same day, a soldier from the tribe of Benjamin ran from the battle. He ran to Shiloh. He had torn his clothes and he put dirt on his head. Eli was sitting on his chair by the side of the road in Shiloh. He was waiting for the news of the battle. He wanted to know if God's covenant box was safe. When the soldier arrived in the city, he told the people what had happened in the battle. All the people started to cry loudly. Eli heard the people's voices. He asked, "What is causing all the noise?" The soldier quickly went to tell Eli the news. Eli was now 98 years old, and he could not see at all. The soldier said to Eli, "I'm the man who ran here from the battle." Eli asked him, "What happened, my son?" The soldier replied, "The Israelites ran away with the Philistines while the Philistines chased them. The Philistines killed many of our soldiers. Your two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the Philistines have taken away God's covenant box." Eli was sitting near the city's gate. He was old and fat. When the soldier spoke about God's covenant box, Eli fell back off his chair. His neck broke and he died. He had been a leader of Israel's people for 40 years. At that time, Phinehas' wife was pregnant. She was ready to give birth. She heard the news that the Philistines had taken away God's covenant box. She heard that her husband Phinehas and his father Eli were dead. When she heard this news, she started to give birth to her baby, but she had a lot of pain. She was dying. The women who were helping her said, "Do not be afraid. You've given birth to a son." But this did not make her happy. She did not answer them. She called the boy's name Ichabod because she said, "God's glory has gone away from Israel." She said this because the Philistines had taken away God's covenant box and because her husband and his father had died. She said, "God's glory has gone away from Israel because the covenant box has gone." 1 Samuel chapter 5, verse 1, God's covenant box causes trouble for the Philistines. When the Philistines took God's covenant box, they took it from Ebenezer to the town of Ashdod. They carried it into the temple of Dagon, their god. They put the box next to the idol of Dagon. The next morning, the people in Ashdod got up early. They saw that Dagon had fallen down in front of the Lord's covenant box. The idol's face was touching the ground, so they took Dagon and put him back in his place. The next morning, they got up early. They saw that Dagon had fallen down in front of the Lord's covenant box again. His head and both his hands had broken off. They were lying on the step of the temple's door. Only his body remained together. Because of that, even today, Dagon's priests and other people never walk on the steps of Dagon's temple in Ashdod. The Lord punished the people who lived in Ashdod. He caused them to have a lot of pain, as well as the people in the places near Ashdod. He caused tumors to grow on their bodies. When the people of Ashdod saw what was happening, they said, "The covenant box of Israel's God must not stay here with us. He's punishing us and our God Dagon." So the Philistine rulers met together. Ashdod's people asked them, "What should we do with the covenant box of Israel's God?" The rulers answered, "Take it away to Gath." So the men took it to that city. After they had moved the covenant box to Gath, the Lord punished the people in that city too. He made them all very afraid. He caused tumors to grow on them, young people as well as old people. So then they took God's covenant box to Ekron. When God's covenant box arrived in Ekron, the people screamed. They said, they brought the covenant box of Israel's God here. They want to kill us all. So they called the Philistine rulers to meet together. Ekron's people said to them, take away the covenant box of Israel's God. Send it back to its proper place. If you leave it here, it will kill us and all our families. All the people in the town were afraid of death. God had already started to punish them a lot. Many people had already died. All the other people in the town had tumors on their bodies. So they cried loudly up to the skies for help. 1 Samuel chapter 6, the Philistines give back God's covenant box. The Philistines had had the Lord's covenant box in their country for 7 months. Then they called their priests and their magicians to meet with them. The people asked them, what must we do with the Lord's covenant box? Tell us how we should send it back to its home. The priests and the magicians answered, send the covenant box of Israel's God back with a special offering. You must not send it back without anything. Send an offering so that their God will forgive you. Then you will all get well again. You will understand why he has continued to punish you. The people asked, what offering should we send to their God so that he will forgive us? The priests and magicians replied, you must send gold images of 5 tumors and 5 mice. You must make 5 images of each one because the Philistines have 5 rulers. They have the same disease that all of you have. Make images of the tumors and the mice that are destroying everything in the country. Do that to give honor to the God of Israel. Maybe then he'll stop punishing you, your gods, and your land. Do not be like the Egyptians and Pharaoh, their king. They did not agree to obey God. So God punished them a lot until they let the Israelites leave Egypt. You must make a new cart. Find 2 cows that have just given birth to calves. It must be the first time that those cows have pulled a cart. Tie them to the cart with ropes so that they can pull it, then take their calves away from them. Put the Lord's covenant box on the cart. Put another box on the cart with the gold images inside it. Those are your offerings to their God so that he will forgive you. Then send the cart away, but continue to watch it carefully. The cows may pull it across our border to Beth-Shemesh in Israel. If that happens, we will know that the God of Israel has punished us with this great trouble. But if the cart goes somewhere else, we will know that it was not their God who did this to us. We will know that this disease happened only by chance. So the Philistines did what the priests and magicians told them. They took 2 cows that had just given birth to calves. They tied the cows to a cart. They took away their calves and kept them at home. They put the Lord's covenant box on the cart. They put the other box beside it on the cart. That box contained the gold images of the mice and tumors. The cows pulled the cart straight along the road towards Beth-Shemesh. They did not turn off the road at all, to the left side or the right side. As they went, they made a lot of noise. The Philistine rulers walked behind the cart all the way as far as the edge of Beth-Shemesh. The people who lived in Beth-Shemesh were working in their fields in the valley. They were cutting their wheat at harvest time. They looked up and they saw the Lord's covenant box. It made them very happy. The cows pulled the cart into a field. It belonged to Joshua, who lived in Beth-Shemesh. The cows stopped next to a large rock. The Levites took the Lord's covenant box off the cart. They put it on the large rock. They also put the box which contained the gold images on the rock. The people from Beth-Shemesh cut up the cart. They used the wood to make a fire. Then they killed the cows. Poor cows. Had the calves taken away. Now they killed them. They burnt them on the fire as the burnt offering to the Lord. That day, the people of Beth-Shemesh offered many burnt offerings and other sacrifices to the Lord. The 5 Philistine rulers watched them as they did that. Then they returned to Ekron on the same day. The Philistines had sent the gold tumors as an offering to the Lord. They wanted him to forgive them. There was 1 gold tumor for each of their 5 towns: Ashdod, Gaza, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron. The Philistines also sent 5 gold mice. There was 1 gold mouse for each of the 5 towns that had a ruler. Those were strong cities that had walls around them. Each town also had villages near to it. The large rock where the Levites put the Lord's covenant box is still there. So we remember what happened that day in Joshua's field in Beth-Shemesh. But some of the men from Beth-Shemesh looked inside the Lord's covenant box. So God killed 70 of them. The people were very sad because the Lord had punished them so much. The people of Beth-Shemesh said, the Lord is a holy God. Nobody can go near him. We must send this covenant box away from us. But who can ever take care of it? So they sent people to Kiriath Jearim with the message. They said, the Philistines have sent the Lord's covenant box back to Israel. Please come and take it from us. Take it to your town. 1 Samuel chapter 7. So the men from Kiriath Jearim So the men came from Kiriath Jearim to fetch the Lord's covenant box. They took it to Abinadab's house. His house was on a hill. They chose his son Eleazar to take care of the Lord's covenant box as a special job. Samuel rules in Israel. The covenant box stayed at Kiriath Jearim for a long time. It was there for 20 years. So it wasn't at the tabernacle. Interesting. During this time, the Israelites were sad. They prayed for the Lord to help them again. Then Samuel, so I'm lost. So the tabernacle's in Shiloh, and the Ark of the Covenant is in Kiriath Jearim for 20 years. So where did they go to sacrifice and to worship? Kiriath Jearim or Shiloh? Of course, I guess what's important is the Ark. So it doesn't say where they went. That's another Bible study question. Somebody answer that in the comment section. Where did they go to worship those 20 years? Shiloh or Kiriath Jearim? Picking up verse 3. Then Samuel said to all the Israelite people, if you truly want to turn back to the Lord, you must show that you mean it. You must remove all your foreign gods and the images of Ashtaroth. You must give your lives completely to the Lord. You must worship only the Lord. If you do that, he'll save you from the power of the Philistines. So the Israelites removed all their idols of the false gods called Baal and Ashtaroth. They only worshiped the Lord. Then Samuel told the Israelites, meet together at Mizpah. I will pray to the Lord for you there. So they all met together at Mizpah. They got water from a well and they poured it out for the Lord. They did not eat food that day. They prayed and they said, we've done bad things against the Lord. Samuel became leader of the Israelite people at Mizpah. The Philistines heard the news that the Israelites had met together at Mizpah. So the Philistine rulers led their people to attack the Israelites. Again, you didn't learn your lesson 20 years before. When the Israelites heard about this, they became very afraid of the Philistines. They said to Samuel, pray to the Lord our God. Do not stop. Ask him to help us. Ask him to save us from the Philistines. So Samuel took a baby lamb. He gave it as a whole burnt offering to the Lord. Samuel asked the Lord to help the Israelites. The Lord answered his prayer in this way. Again, if Samuel is not from the tribe of Levi, how is he offering a sacrifice and it's being received? So while Samuel was giving the burnt offering to the Lord, the Philistines moved nearer to attack the Israelites. But the Lord caused a very loud noise of thunder to frighten the Philistines. They became very confused and they started to run away from the Israelites. Then the Israelite men came out from Mizpah. They chased the Philistines as far as a place near Beth Kar. They killed the Philistines as they chased them. After that, Samuel took a stone. He fixed it in the ground between Mizpah and Shin. He called the stone Ebenezer. He said, the Lord has helped us all this way. That is how the Israelites won the fight against the Philistines. The Philistines did not attack Israel's land again. That should say Israel's land, not Israel land. All the time that Samuel was alive, the Lord stopped the Philistines from attacking Israel. The Israelites took back the towns and the land the Philistines had taken from them. These towns were between Ekron and Gath. Also, the Israelites and the Amorites did not fight against each other. Samuel continued to be the leader of the Israelites while he was alive. Every year he traveled to Bethel, Gilgal, and Mizpah. In all those towns, he was a judge for the Israelite people. But he always returned to his home at Ramah. He was a judge for the Israelite people there too. He built an altar in Ramah to worship the Lord there. But didn't you all fight against two of the tribes on the east side of the Jordan River because they built a replica of an altar? And the reason they built it was to remind them of the Lord in case the people on the west side said, you have no inheritance with us. And the rest of the Israelite tribes were about to go to war against those tribes because they built that altar. But yet Samuel's able to build an altar. And there's nothing apparently wrong with that. Another Bible study question. All right, this is the word of the Lord. Put those words in the comment section. I tell you, the more you read the Bible, the more questions you have, and the more you realize you do not know. Put these words in the comment section. This is the word of the Lord. Follow, like, and subscribe. Hit that arrow at the bottom of the screen and share this video. Shall we pray? Gracious Lord, we thank you right now for this opportunity to learn. And again, as I go through the scriptures over and over and over again, the more I see that I didn't see before, and the more I realize that we don't know what we think we know, and the more questions come up. So, Father, I thank you that the word is living. It is God breathed, and it is breathing life into us. And we thank you that there's always a brand new discovery and a new way of seeing you from a different perspective. And so, God, as we go through this day, help us to remain in awe of you. There's a song that says, I stand in awe of you. Let us never lose that sense of awness. We realize you're awesome, but don't let us lose our sense of awe. And God, help us not to take you for granted as we go through this day. We ask in Jesus' name, let all the people of God say, thank God, and say, amen.